Welcome to Highly Affected by Her Surroundings, the podcast where we reveal how your environment can make or break your day. Hosted by me, Nicole Rowe, owner and lead designer at R. Nixon Interiors. Welcome back, Antonio. I am so excited to not only see your face, but also kick off season 2 with you. Like I said, oh, I love it. Okay, yes. Like I said in the intro, Antonio is one of my dear friends. He helped me kick off season 1, and his support obviously means the world, but we couldn't kick off season 2 without you. So please, Antonio, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and why you're so amazing.
Likewise, amazing. Right back to you. I am so honored and excited. We launched season 1 together. We fumbled, and then I watched you just launch and take off and kill season 1. And that is the reason that we are back launching season 2. Your feedback has been absolutely amazing. So for all of you listening to the podcast today, I'm Antonio Deloatch. I run Antonio Deloatch Designs, and we're based in New York City. I love everything that Nicole does. We're partners in crime, and I'm excited to dive into today's conversation.
Yes, partners in crime is a good way to put it. We definitely, when we're together, we have a lot of fun. I think we have very similar goals, very similar morals, and honestly, similar bedtimes. So it works really well.
Yeah, we're both we're not doing that. And then all of a sudden we'll kind of quietly do the quiet exit out, and we'll be refreshed in the morning, but we always make sure that fun is on the table.
Yes, I don't think I say goodbye to anyone whenever I leave a function, no matter where it is. So definitely dip out early. But it really does mean the world that you're here. I think designers, as you and I've spoke, we need friends. Even if they're not local to us, we need the friends, we need the support. And it's always a good time when we get to have a conversation. So looking back to season 1, I'm curious, when I first went to you and said, hey, Antonio, I'm doing a podcast. It's going to be called Highly Affected by Her Surroundings. What crossed your mind?
So it was a hell yes. I can say that on this, right?
Yeah. Yes, you can.
It was a hell yes for me, because it's either a hell yes or a hard no. And when I thought about the intentionality behind the name of your podcast, I was highly affected by her surroundings. I was it's something so relatable. And it was an immediate yes for me, because I focus on my mindfulness practice. I'm a yogi at heart. I practice yoga 3 to 4 times a week. I'm super woo-woo, even though most people don't think that about me. That's a fun fact about Antonio. But listening to the title of it, and I was oh, we can go deep into this. And you really did that in season 1 through the super diverse mix of guests that you had, from Hawaii to Arizona to New York to Canada. I mean, it just goes to show how our environments, no matter where we are, genuinely affect us. So when you asked, I was oh, we could talk about this all day long.
Well, I feel there's so many different ways to look at the title. Highly affected by her surroundings. I joked that I had the princess nickname growing up. I'm ADHD. I also cringe, when the lights are too bright. But also as designers, that is what we do. Surroundings are our baby and are our life. And I think you execute that so well on your projects.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, same. My ADD is it's like squirrel. I've got a window in front of me, so if I drift off, there's something in the distance, right? But it's the natural light. It's really the systems thinking that we're doing for our clients. It's what is giving us joy? What makes me feel safe? What makes me feel happy? And I just think that you do that really, really well through color, through pattern, through play. You can see it in the artwork behind you. There's always going to be a level of curiosity. And I think sometimes we get titles, we get nicknames, we get stigmas attached to us. And raising kids is differently today. So I think it's all of that bundled into one thing. And then we get to blow the box up. And I think that's what this podcast does.
You said the comment of safe, and I have found when I've been asking potential clients lately, what do you want your home to feel? And when they say safe or safety, It's a really big deal. And being affected by your surroundings and having that safety component is important. So for you, like what makes a space feel safe?
I mean, I live in New York City. So there's like full stop. That's a whole sentence in itself.
There are bars on the
And
window.
literally, I mean, thank God I live on a fifth floor walk up, but yes, there's still bars on my window. And I just think that safety today, I mean, there's just been some traumatic things that have happened in the world. I think politically, like all of the things, the way that we're raising, again, we go back to kids, to like, do our neighbors have the same core values? Like, so like we're going back into our home and it really is this like nurture nest, right? Like it is this thing that it's like, how do I feel when the door closes behind me? Does the rest of the world disappear? Or am I still like on this hamster wheel and thinking about it? And I think that's the beauty for us as designers, that we're getting to create that nurture nest for our clients. And so whether or not we're doing that through texture, through lighting, through floor planning, through moving of walls or putting the walls back up, I'm a big proponent of let's bring the walls back. This whole open concept of like feeling like naked and hanging out in the shower with just half a piece of glass. Like, I don't feel very safe. So I think that we're getting back to having safety be really a part of the conversation.
Well, and I think the shower is a good point of like being exposed, like
Hmm.
not necessarily fully naked exposed, but even like window treatments, like
Hmm.
moving into a home that doesn't have window treatments. Neighbors are close by, whether you're on a fifth floor walk up or in a subdivision, having the ability to pull the curtain shut when you want that privacy, that, envelope is also safety.
100%. I think it's funny you say that because I don't have drapery on any of my 13 windows, and my neighbor in the back is only 6 feet away. And I mean, if you're looking, you're looking. I mean, it just is what it is. So there's no privacy on the fifth floor. It's great that we're kind of in the treetops, but we only have one neighbor, and they're like 6 feet apart. And my bedroom window and their living room are like pretty right there. And there's no drapery. We just love the natural light.
So, this explains why you do a lot of yoga.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of yoga. We're up with the sun rising. Um,
Yes, and the neighbor can see you in the nude, so you need, to stay fit.
100%. I mean, listen, if that's my accountability partner is my neighbor, I'm just like, listen, you're going to get me in a towel 3 days out of the week, guaranteed.
No, but I think it's a really good point of that safety, that envelope, and just kind of everything else in the world. When your house is your safe haven, when your apartment, your condo is your safe haven, I think every day just runs a little smoother.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think we're getting back to the essence of that, right? It's like, and I love to have the conversation and like, how how did we get where we are today? And is this how you grew up? And like that's like a like people literally are like they gasp almost, they kind of almost like want to clutch their pearls because it's such like a trigger thing, and it's like, actually, like this is not how I grew up. And I was like, oh, like I lean in and I'm like, tell me more. And they're like, oh, my parents' house was pristine and we had all these like rules and all of these things, and now like I have not been able to figure out. I just had a client right now, and like I could never figure out as an adult how to create the home that my parents created for me. And I was like mind blown. And I was like, yes, I was like, this is exactly part of my calling and my purpose. Because like, how do we get back to that essence of like safety, like that we felt as a child, right? That we felt safe in our parents' home for the most part, right? It's like, how do we get back to
I
that?
still have this memory of my parents had these mallard, like the duck stained glass windows on the front door. And I remember people like knock, people would come and knock to sell things back in the 90s. And I remember like my sister and I crawling, on the floor, like to hide from whoever was out there. But it was still that sense of the doors are locked, life is good. But I can
Yeah.
picture those darn mallards on that door to this day,
That is
for sure.
hilarious. That is too
Okay,
funny.
we talked a little woo, but I think for us, one of the things I value in you a ton, and when I've had a hard day, Antonio is my like voice message of like the manifestation. And I definitely think the podcast for me was something I had manifested over a couple years. I loved being a guest on people's podcasts, and I love having a reason to talk to people.
Yeah.
Especially, I am a little more remote. I am a little more rural. I only get to see some of you guys, at some of the big events, but for you, the manifestation is a really big part of your life. Can you dive a little bit more into how you got there?
Yeah, so I mean, over the years, I've always talked about like there's always going to be these tools in your tool belt. And 80% of the work is just like getting rid of the fear and being willing to like dive deep into your toolbox or your tool belt and find the right tool for the moment. And I realized that there was just a lot of this friction in my life. And I was repeating seasons. I was like, why is this still happening? Why am I going through this thing? And then finally, like a bunch of whispers kind of came through and they were like, let go, let God, release, keep your hands open. What do you really want? And I was like, I told you what I really wanted. They're like, no, go deeper. And then I realized that I was actually really powerful at my core. And the things that I was really either A, putting to paper, there was a whole thing that Steve Harvey did on the radio one morning about like manifesting your dreams and like writing your prayers and your wishes down and like actually like the power of putting pen to paper. And so I started doing that. And then I started seeing things come through. I started shifting my lifestyle. My family used to make fun of me for being more vegetarian or more vegan and not coming home and eating my dad's barbecue chicken. And I was like living in LA and meditating and like hiking up mountains. And I was just like starting to see the seasons not repeat as fast or at all. And I was like, oh, I think I'm kind of on the right path. And I found the tools. And now it's just a matter of like sharpening them and learning how to like use them. And no pun intended, but maybe reading the manual on it a little bit more, and actually like, it's like building IKEA furniture. It's really hard to do it blind. So, the more that you're vulnerable, the more that you ask for help, and the more that you read the manual, it starts to come to fruition.
No, I think you've done a really nice job, but also, this summer you had a few scary weeks where, you were MIA from me, and I know the intensities of work and life and everything else really got to you.
It did. I ended up getting food poisoning in the middle of July, which was really unexpected because the beginning of my summer was absolutely amazing. We were like in the south of France. And then I'm an empath at the end of the day, and I think a lot of us are in this industry and just holding space for others. And this one was kind of intimate because it was a family member and like, she's 82 and I was moving her and my body was just holding all of this energy. So like where food poisoning might have only lasted 2 or 3 days, I didn't have the fight in my body. And it paused and it allowed me to like hit the reset button. It took me a few weeks to bounce back and recover after getting out of the hospital. And I was just like, wow, like there is power in my purpose. I'm very clear on my why and my mission. But as much as I think I'm pacing myself, your body will humble you and quickly been like, hold on, we need to hit the pause button.
No, and I think for you, it's like you said, you had this great summer, there was a lot going on, but like
Yeah.
your body was like, hey, Antonio, we're going to stop for a few moments. But also, you didn't respond to my text for a few days. So I was like, are you breathing? And you're like, kind of not really. I was like, oh, that's not what I meant. I thought you were
Right.
just busy.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're, on the other side. But let's step back to the beginning of the summer where it was magical and you were in the south of France. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we planned it. This was kind of the first time I've ever allowed myself to take a 3 week trip. Um, and again, it was just like the perfect storm before that, where we were like in construction, things are all like all the moving pieces were falling into place. And I was like, oh, I think I could like skip away. And it was all because of Beyonce. I mean, hello, like all things start because of Beyonce. So like it started with Beyonce in London. And then another friend was like, oh my gosh, like this group of us from Philly are all going to be in the south of France. And we're like, wait, there's like a week and a half gap. Like, what do we do in between? And so we ended up starting in London, which is like my favorite place to start. Even though it's the most expensive, and I feel like half my like budget like goes right out the window the minute I land in London because I think I'm just like royalty and like it just all goes out the window. And then we ended up back in Lisbon, which Lisbon is like a super happy place. And I realized that I feel creative in London, but I was actually able to rest in Lisbon. And it's just amazing how, like, when you start to respond to a city or a certain hotel or place. And then we ended up in Paris for a few nights, and then the south of France, which has always been like a dream as a photographer. Like, I just have always wanted to photograph the south of France. So, yeah, it was just kind of this magical way to start the summer.
Okay, tell me about a few of the things that you did that you'll like never forget.
A few of the things that we did, I mean, one actually sitting at like a beach club in the south of France, like with a cabana and like a full wait staff, like that was kind of magical. And I was like, oh, I think I just unlocked another level, and this is not going to be good. That was kind of amazing. Beyonce in London, first of all, like it's like 40 minutes outside of London, but this town, London loves Beyonce, and they shut the town down. So we saw her for her first Renaissance tour, and they shut the town down. So it's like a full party going in to the stadium because all the bars and restaurants are playing Beyonce, like old school Beyonce. And then you get out of the stadium and it's like the after party of an after party, and everyone's just blasting all Beyonce. So that's always just like a fun, immersive experience. Um, and then, I mean, who doesn't love food in Lisbon? And just those were probably my three highlights. And I don't feel like I
Yes.
gain weight. So that's kind of also like a bonus, right? Like I'm like, I've just ate like a king and I don't feel like I've gained 20 pounds.
That is so funny. I mean, you said royalty earlier, you said king, you said you could get used to
I mean,
this, beach service. But I do think when people, go to Europe, they're always like, we ate so much, we drank so much, and I came home like fitter and brighter and well
yeah,
rested. And which I think you deserved that. It's been a while. I mean, I think for designers listening, the ability to set up your business so that you can take off for a few weeks in the summer. We have a Europe trip planned next summer already. We're starting
yeah.
in Paris and then kind of venturing through Switzerland for a few weeks. But my team already
Ooh,
knows, projects will already know that, hey, come mid July,
see you later.
like we're going to be gone, but everything is at this point being set up for that so that I can
Yeah.
be disconnected because to take the boys to Paris and get some vegan croissants, then hop on the train and go hiking in Switzerland, like what a dream.
What a dream, right? And like those are core moments and memories. And I think it's the things that like we encourage our clients to do too. But the more that we do this for ourselves, like it's the beautiful reminder for everyone that's listening to this episode is that like we're in service. We are a service industry. Like we are like individuals that are in service to others. And I think the more that you can fill your cup and be inspired and tell these stories, like it just makes you a more relatable, but b, I think it also makes your designs that much stronger and better because like you might splurge on the nice hotel, or like I've been a really big proponent, I think we talked about this on season one's first episode, about staying in the less expensive episode hotel across the street from the more expensive one, right? And you get to take all of those stories and all of that inspiration home with you. So plan ahead, tell your clients, be excited about it. And if you're excited, they'll be excited. And then maybe you get to encourage them to do the same thing and take their kids on something that will be super memorable for years to come.
Yes, I found early in my career, I almost wanted to hide the fact that I was going on vacation,
It'll
from
make you feel
clients.
guilty.
The guilt or
Yeah,
we all kind of play in this luxury industry, but when I go to New York or when I go to Miami or when I go wherever we've gone,
yeah,
you walk into that restaurant or that hotel and it's literally my phone's out. I'm like 20 inspiration pictures, but also
yeah,
just the overall vibes. Like, why does this feel good?
yeah.
We just knocked out a primary suite and we had an initial vision for the client, but she went to a hotel and I can't think of what it was in the city. And she took pictures and she's like, this is what I want. And it was a mix of
Mm,
modern and vintage and layered. And that was not the direction we were originally going. But that
interesting.
trip for her to New York changed her life. Like it really
Wow.
did.
That's amazing. And again, like, but kudos to you as the guide to the journey. And the fact that she felt comfortable enough to and vulnerable enough to say, like, hey, I know that we've got this design direction, but I just had this really magical moment that like made me feel at rest, or made me feel safe, or made me feel excited, or like I pulled out a pencil and I started sketching for the first time in really like a long time. And it's those moments that we create the space, right? Like everyone that's listening, that's a designer, an architect, someone that's in the creative industry, like if you've got a client facing, that we're able to create the space for something to come alive in them. I mean, kudos to you for that.
I think it makes it fun for everybody. And, we both talk about authentic spaces and, designing for the person. Because you and I are not the designer that's going to do the rinse and repeat. We're not the designer that has our 5 favorite fabrics. Like, we are all over the board. And as we've
Yeah,
talked, business coaches are like, that's not how you do it. But I really think that's what
sorry
we're
about it.
here for. Like, that is really the point of all this. It is the mixing it up, it's the access we have to the cool artist or the funky paint colors. I know right
Yeah.
now, if you're watching this on YouTube, Antonio's at a hotel, so do not
This
judge
is
his
not,
little.
please do not judge my dorm-like background setting. I've tried to the best to judge it, but this is the reason why you need to hire a designer. So shout out to any boutique hotels. You've got me and Nicole will happily work together on your boutique hotel. But this is not sexy behind me. So please don't judge me based on what you see
Yes, that manifestation of,
today.
doing a hotel though, but it's true. It really is. Once again, we're affected by our spaces and next time book a better hotel. No, I'm kidding.
100%.
But it is a lot. But okay. So, season 2, we're mixing it up a little bit. Of course, I'm still interviewing a few of our design friends. I think that is very important. We all have different perspectives. We design for different clientele. We're, different parts of the country. But this season, I have a few artists, different styles
Oh,
of art, because I mean, artists, they are what finishes our projects. Like, if you could design a killer space, but if you did not put art on those walls,
I mean,
it doesn't
this
matter. So,
is like a perfectly great example.
yes, I have, an architect lined up. I have a couple brands lined up. I have an energy reader. I think it's a he
Mm,
energy reader who's an artist as well, but really just once again, her focus like on our surroundings. So I feel
yeah.
like kind of what are you hoping for in season 2?
Well, I think that the thing that I'm hoping for, that I'm really excited about as well, is that like you're leaning into a little bit more of your journey, right? From like California, Atlanta, like now Florida, like you've been affected by, and like where you go to vacation in the mountains, your intentionality behind going to start in Paris and this fabulousness, but then also getting back to like the root of like what really drives your family and like being out in and hiking, right? So like I'm excited for season 2 to be able to hear more diverse perspectives. Like I love talking to people outside of my industry. We've talked about networking and like being the unicorn in the room and being the only designer in a room and like then being able to pick the brain of everybody else. And it's like, how did that artist create the, like if you were sitting here you would paint a totally different picture because you're affected by what's around you, and then in return there's this ripple effect of like then what you were affected by that then caused you to produce it, then I fell in love with it or was attracted to it, which then drove me to design this whole space around it, right? So now I'm helping somebody be affected by their current environment but not realizing that there might be like 5 to 10 micro environments already baked into it, from the art to the pattern play and like where that all that inspiration came from. So I love the fact that in season 2 you're digging deeper, you're blowing the box up, and you're going to different industries and artists and creatives.
Okay, microenvironment. That is
Ooh,
actually a term I haven't really heard before. I mean, except for like outside, where like frogs live or whatever that is, but like
sure.
microenvironments in your spaces. Let's talk about that a little bit more.
I don't know, it just triggered it to me because I mean, like, I look at the piece of art behind you and I love that, right? And I think also, like, I've gotten a lot deeper in like understanding like artists and artist studios. I live in New York City, so like the amount of art that we have available to us from theater, like all of these creations were created by somebody that was affected by either a life moment or their environment. And so then in return for us as designers, like I'm looking at a pillow across the room and it's got a really great pattern on it. But like that person that created that pattern, what were they inspired by? So like to me, there was like a micro environment within that pillow that was created by another individual that then was inspired by something else. And then in return, us as creatives and designers, then we get to pull all of those little micro things in to make one new environment for somebody else.
And I love that because working with these makers, everything from lighting to art to textiles to scent, the candle that's burning, the book on the coffee table, like
Yeah,
that is telling the story, but it's making it feel complete. And I know, like tonight, Jeff and I are going, a new art exhibit's opening at our local art museum. Jeff has no idea what it is, and when this comes out, it'll be a few weeks forward, but I am so excited just to stand in front of these pieces because you look at them online
yeah,
and it's photography, but it's online, it falls flat. But, in reality, I've been looking forward to
so
this for
cool.
weeks.
Oh, that's so fantastic. I think about too, like we're talking about like a micro environment. You said the candle word, and candles the signature scents, and it really varies per person. And we were in Mexico City about a year and a half ago, and I discovered this brand, and I might be butchering it. It's Kinu, I believe it's called Zanao or Zane, and it is like this magical, like little treehouse gem. It's like painted all black, and they have this massive table down the center, and all of the natural elements that they were inspired by are on the table for you to experience. And then they talk about each individual scent and how these little environments then created this scent. And then in return, I'm responding to something for somebody else. And then, you know, we now enhance their environment based off of another environment. And I think that's where the micro part comes into play. So I can't wait to see this like photography exhibition through your lens. And, I love photography. And that's another thing that just like freezes an environment and a people and space and landscape and time. And then you get to pull that into a new space. I think we're
Well, I
onto something.
know. No, I know. And when you take photographs, it is just like the eye of a designer. And we've had this conversation when we've hired, photographers, like when we've hired all these people to take images of our space that we've worked so hard on, but then they see it a
Yeah.
different lens and then it gets published somewhere else in a completely different way. And it's
Yeah.
definitely, an interesting game to play.
I agree. And how often, like, do you take something like it could be food, it could be a book, it could be a magazine, like you take it out of one space and you bring it into another, and then all of a sudden you respond differently to it. You're like, I hate mushrooms at home, but when I'm in Paris, like I eat mushrooms all the time. It's like, you're totally affected and responding to your environment. So it's just funny how like all of a sudden you can take a piece of art from one place and then bring it into a space and then it changes the whole room. And it's because of like whatever that environment thing is inside of that art has now just affected the external, which is really amazing.
Yes, turn down the lights and people will eat a lot more things than they would if, in a bright room, that's for sure.
I love that.
No, I think that's, going back to the Paris thing and like having the ebb and flow, like Paris with the boys is a dream, but I know they can only
Yeah.
last maybe 48 hours in Paris. Like those, little feral boys are not wanting that lifestyle. But I think it
Yeah.
showed like your trip to Europe was a
Mommy
great
might be in
example.
heaven, right? Mommy's going to
Oof.
be in heaven.
Yes, pick me up a few days later for sure. But it just kind of shows, same with the, microenvironment of these little bits of your trips, like find something for everyone, but also allowing yourself to reset because you
Yeah.
can't just have a high level vacation for 3 weeks or you're going to come home drained.
100%. Yeah. And we've all come back from a trip or a vacation. Like, I need a vacation from the vacation, right? And so I just think that if you're a vacationer, you learn how to vacation better. You might give yourself like an ease in, like, you don't book the 8-hour tour that requires, a boat, a bus, and a donkey on the first day while you're jet lagged. Like, no one's going to get through that. And so, you might want to do that on day 2 or day 3, depending on what your body needs or how busy you were before that trip. And then you get to like put a different lens on and take that home with you differently.
No, I agree. And definitely train your chat GPT when you're booking vacations of like what you
Mm.
want your cadence to be. Cause I'll put in all the details and all the things we want to do. And it will be like, and on the third day we rest. On the third day we picnic, because
Yeah,
we go somewhere and we're like, I do want to hike. I want to ride that donkey or whatever, the thing is. But I do think the cadence of life, whether you're on vacation or home,
yeah,
but taking a trip from your trip, let's talk High Point because there is no way to come home from High Point rested. That is
absolutely not.
impossible.
if you came back from High Point and you were like, oh my gosh, I had the time of my life and I feel so, as my tagline, rested and restored, I'm like, lies you tell, because there's no way that you did High Point correctly if you come back fully rested and restored. That's just not a thing. But I love High Point. I've been going to High Point for 10 years in totally different capacities, from product development to from a managerial lens running a luxury retail showroom to now running my own business full time. You love High Point. It like ignites you, and like your everything, your being. Like I think you just glow the minute that you land in High Point.
Well, when we get off the bus, because definitely like the bus ride from the airport, if that you always rent a car, but I don't have the patience for that either. But I will say for me, the weather's always magical. You
Mm-hmm.
get the opportunity to be outside. Yes, you could do a couple of the buildings and not see sunlight for a while, but the ability to walk from showroom to showroom and see friends, see
Along the
designers,
way.
see people like the fresh air, all the coffee everywhere. Yes, I love it. So, okay, tell everybody kind of what your lineup is, what your goals for High Point are this year, and, some of the fun things.
Yeah, can you say that last word again? The F word, fun. Like literally with a capital F, this market. I was just having this conversation at New York Design Center's What's New, What's Next yesterday about like how are we going to market? I go to market differently every single High Point. It is the largest furniture exposition like in the United States. People come from around the world to experience new trends, new styles, all of that good stuff. And I sometimes have, like you, my business hat on and a certain lens, and I put my goggles on and I'm like laser focused. This market, you and I will be speaking at Universal. And we're super excited for that. My schedule is actually pretty light this market. And last market, I had like 6 speaking engagements. I had 3 ambassador programs that I was over, hosted a dinner, and all of that good stuff. I have some stuff that's still in the works that we'll share and kind of tease out as we get a little closer into the details. But I actually really gave some breath to my calendar, and I don't know if it was like the hard stop this summer. It's kind of encouraging me to just respond to my body and like, okay, but I also want to have some fun. Like FOMO is real. And business will be business, but like when your friends are partying and dancing across town, you're kind of like, okay, I want to do that too. So I think that every market's a little different, and I think this one, the focus is going to be fun.
Fun is always fun, but I think also, like you said, it's the FOMO. You can't be everywhere at once. And I
No.
know last year, trying to get to some of the panels you were on and trying to get to some of the panels some of my other friends were on or that I was on or meeting up meetings I had set up. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think I browsed a single showroom, like just walking around looking and touching things this year. But
Yeah.
whereas there's been other markets where I've hit like 40 showrooms. So the goals I think for everybody are different. And I
Yeah.
definitely take advantage of seeing people I don't get to see. I love running around with you. I love learning. And
Yeah.
I do want to go see the things and see what's new. But I think as seasoned designers, we're no longer newbies. Like we understand how things are made and how things feel. And like we've been to the showrooms, we have the contacts if we need to call someone, FaceTime or whatever. But
Sure.
I think having the goal of just enjoying ourselves
Yeah. Yeah. There was
is really
one.
special.
It is so special. And there was, like you said, there was a market maybe 2 or 3 markets ago where it was Tanya, and there was like 2 or 3 of us, and we broke for lunch and we wandered around the old hooker showroom, and like we just like had fun testing out, and like we are all 3 different heights, and like we come from 3 different markets, and it was like it literally is the thing that then allows us to be great designers and troubleshoot. I have a client right now that we're having like a sectional sofa situation. And I was like, I sit literally on over 1,000 pieces of upholstery a year. What you're asking for, I don't think exists, but I'm not afraid to try and find it.
Yeah.
And then I walked into a showroom at the New York Design Center, and I was like, oh my God, it's like I was like, it is exactly what you're looking for. And I didn't think that it exists because it's not a common frame, but we're able to have these like educated conversations with our clients because we invest in ourselves, we invest in our brand and our businesses, and we invest in each other by going to market. And so I'm excited for this one to like maybe have this be the market that I hit 40 showrooms, or I grab a group of friends and we get in the car and we maybe do some stuff that's on the outside of market. I'm just looking forward to quality time and to see what's new in the industry.
So that's my reminder to wear tennis shoes and not like high heel boots like I did one of the days last year.
Yeah, definitely comfortable shoes. I mean, I just ordered new insoles. Listen, we're almost 40. Like, this is real. I'm like, you know, so yeah,
But
it's a
I
thing.
do think the relationships with other designers, that's a big conversation for us this market, but also with the brands, because when stuff goes wrong or we need a favor, if we're a face beyond just a phone call,
Yeah,
like they want to help us because they know who we are, they know the vibes we bring, they know, we're connected or whatever it is. But I think market's intimidating. The first year I went, I remember pulling up being like, I don't even know what's right or left. But now
mhm,
it's like, okay, where do you want to meet? You're there, I'll find you in a few minutes. Like, this is
yeah,
great. Who has the best food, who has the best coffee, like where
yeah.
can I sit down and not be harassed?
That part, right? Because we're still running a business. Like, there's
Yeah,
like work doesn't stop. This is not Paris. Like, this is not a vacation. Like, we're still answering our general contractors. We're still managing all the moving pieces and keeping the plate spinning. So that's always the hardest part about market. And I think it's really great when you can find a group of friends that support that they're like, oh, like Nicole's in a corner, plugged in, she's on a call, like, but I know where we're going next. And she might need a glass of champagne after that. Like, it's like, okay, cool. Or just bringing a friend a salad, or
yeah,
grabbing like a newbie on the street and being like, you look
yeah.
lost. Like, come with us. Like, I think that's the fun part of market. So I'm excited to kind of have this schedule evolve as we get a little closer, and to celebrate great design.
No, I think so too. So definitely follow Antonio on Instagram because he does a good job of being like, hey, there's a party here. Hey, there's an open house here. Like those types of events. Because, like you said, with the newbie statement, like the first year, all I did was walk from showroom to showroom. Now I
Sure.
have the relationships and the invitation. So it makes it a little more specific. But still, like, if you're on a bus or if you're at your hotel and you're talking to someone in the lobby, like helping them and directing them where to go, sending them reps' phone numbers to make appointments. Like if they haven't heard of Verellen, to go to that little corner, it
Mhm.
smells amazing. The food is one of my favorite food trucks, but it's like little things that people may not know or may not have the confidence to go see because it
Yeah.
can be intimidating.
100%. So I think that, over time, you figure out how to do it and do it well. It's like tackling New York City, right? It's like, how do you just get in and get out, but like also get the most out of it? And so it's honestly the reason I go twice a year. It's one of my favorite weeks out of the year.
Okay, so what else do you have happening this fall?
What else do we have happening this fall? So this fall is kind of like a quick sprint. We just did. I'm an ambassador of the New York Design Center. So yesterday was
Yes.
what's new, what's next. 125 designers from around the world get hand selected to celebrate this incredible design building. I'm very fortunate now to have multiple design buildings in my backyard. And next year will actually be their 100th year anniversary as a design building. So that's kind of spectacular. We have Case Conference coming up also as an ambassador in Atlanta. Uh, just all about celebrating one another, celebrating each other's businesses. It's diverse, it's mixed, it's black, it's all of the things, and it's amazing to see Jamila like celebrate her community, herself, but then also make it super inclusive. And she's got some incredible like business coaches and people that just run big businesses on panels and discussions and breakout sessions. So I'm excited to be an ambassador for the Case Conference. We're home for a little bit, and then we're in Design Chicago, which is the Midwest like largest showcase in furniture. I'm an ambassador also of the Chicago Design Mart. Who knew that this was a thing? And it's so amazing because when you really think about like leasing agents, the ones that are saying yes, like the Jim Druckman and like the Carries of the world, like they're signing these big commercial leases, but they're saying yes to 6 to 10 years of design. Think about that. You're not just signing a 2 or 3 year commercial lease. You might be signing a 10-year commercial lease. So there's this thing about like these design centers that has like my business juice is just like flowing because I'm like, oh my gosh, like who's this new vendor? Who's this new artisan? Like they've committed to the building and like what's coming, what's new, what's next. So we'll be in Chicago for Design Chicago. And then we wrap up our fall season with High Point Market.
I mean, you are kind of all over the place. So definitely enjoy the freedoms and luxuries of traveling while you're in this phase of life for sure.
100%. And if y'all are in Atlanta, come say hi. If you're in Chicago, grab me. I love Chicago. And then anything High Point Market between me and Nicole, you can slide in our DMs. We're the ones that answer it. You've got questions, you're scared, you're intimidated, you need travel recommendations, all of that good stuff. We've got two people on this podcast today that are here to like open the door and make it something really fun and amazing.
Yes, and we kind of stand out when we're walking around. We're both under 5'3". I'm wearing a hat and probably some ridiculous outfit. Antonio's dressed very well, walking around with his little briefcase bag. So, yell at us, shout at us, like
I don't know
definitely
what you're
say hi.
I mean, I think in my head, you and I are both 6'2" and like these big personalities. I don't know what you're talking about, 5'3" and 5'5". I mean, in my head, we're both like over 6 feet tall, but that's also how we show up in a room where, it's our light, it's our energy, and it's our inclusivity. We really want to like show people that this crazy thing is possible.
And not only is it possible, like it is a lot of fun. I'm not saying it's low stress. I'm not saying what we do is easy, but I think
Yeah.
when you get to the point that like you have good people surrounding you,
Yeah.
whether it's in your like home life, in your work life, in your social life, like have fun. And I know we're recording this on a Friday. Like I've been out on job sites all morning. I just, kind of like it's still hot in Florida, like it's 90 something degrees out. But
Yeah.
like life is good, and I think that should be celebrated.
I agree with you. I echo that, and that's like a full stop and amen. I mean, listen, it's 1:30 in the afternoon, and I said to you, I almost came to this call with a glass of wine today because I was like, this week has been bananas. But to come together to celebrate you, to celebrate season 2 of Highly Affected by Her Surroundings. I mean, this was another hell yes for me, and maybe we need like a wine happy hour on like an Instagram live or something coming up, or like a High Point Market recap because we just have so much fun together, and it's even better when you get to celebrate with friends and you can see that they're doing big things. So congratulations and kudos to you on season 2.
Yes, thank you. So, quick wrap up. Definitely fall is going to be awesome for all of us. Like, definitely say hi. Season 2 is full of some of the same from last year, but definitely we're elevating it. We're having a good time with it. I might have one or two more slots open. We're definitely keeping the seasons a little tighter just because the holidays are coming, but also just, you know, love your neighbor, be a good friend, be a good human, and really just enjoy the next few months.
I agree. If you're thinking about somebody, reach out to them, send a text, make the phone call, send the DM, and start tracking each other a little closer. And I think that that just deepens the relationship. We're all about being community and community builders. We're in service to others. And like Nicole said, be a good neighbor, be a good person, show up in the world, and know that there's, like I say all the time, there's power in your purpose. And in return, the light just shines. And then we get to have amazing moments like this.
Yes, and if somebody avoids your text for 3 days, they might be hospitalized from food poisoning.
Strong possibility, and we just pray that we never have to experience that again. But listen, that's how I knew. Well, I mean, there's been multiple moments where I've known that Nicole is a real one and a true friend. And we listen to each other, we track each other's businesses, and immediately she jumped right in and she was like, is this the answer to the thing that we've been working on for the last like year and a half? And like, you need to pull out a pen and paper and like write this stuff down. And I was like, she's like, maybe too soon. And I was like, no, you're actually right on time. But I know you're a real one because you're tracking me and I'm tracking you, and you just know how to meet the moment and encourage one another. So go out, listen to this podcast today, share it with a friend, put it on IG, slide it in someone's DM, and encourage someone to check in on somebody else to empower and get them a little deeper onto what their why is. And in return, you'll get great friends out of it.
Okay, on that note, let everybody know where they can find you and, all of that.
Yeah, so I'm again Antonio Deloatch. My IG is Antonio Deloatch Designs. It's the same thing on TikTok and Facebook. You can always check out my website. We do the best we can to be able to get a newsletter out to you twice a month. We've got some exciting things coming up. Like I said, Atlanta or Chicago, High Point Market. I'm always a text or a DM away, and it's Antonio Deloatch Designs on IG. So come on over and join the fun.
As always, Antonio, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Happy to help you launch season 2. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Highly Affected by Her Surroundings. I truly appreciate you taking the time to join us today. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you have a moment, please rate and review the podcast. It helps others discover the show, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. For more behind-the-scenes content and design inspiration, follow us on social media. You can find me, Nicole, at rnixon Interiors, and the podcast at Highly Affected by Her Surrounding. We'll be sharing updates, sneak peeks, and exclusive offers you won't want to miss. Plus, if you want a recap or more details from today's episode, you can find the show notes at rnixoninteriors.com under the Highly Affected by Her Surroundings tab. Once again, thank you for your support, and I can't wait to connect with you on social. See you next time.